Hello, hello. My name is Menelik Washington, co-founder of the Dope Connection, and I'm here with Kenya Alexander from Green to Green Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful.
Yes, yes. So let's just jump right into it. If you would just give a brief introduction of yourself, your business, what it is that you guys do, and where you're operating currently.
Yes. So I'm Kenya Alexander. I'm the founder of Green to Green Solutions. We are an accounting and compliance firm. And we do everything virtually. So we serve whoever from wherever. Y'all, when I say virtually, I'm a nomad. I live in my RV and just travel. So you may see me anywhere popping up, right?
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I'm able to serve everyone from anywhere. Thank you,
Okay.
technology.
And what inspired you to bring your sort of accounting prowess into the cannabis space?
So there's so much, y'all. I was working corporate, and I don't know if y'all know this, but like I am not a corporate I am not the image of what corporate America is, y'all. I have locks, I have face piercings, I have hand tattoos. And so it felt like I was always playing politics. And it was like, no
Mhm.
matter what I did, no matter how good I was at my job, it was never going to be enough to advance me. And also, like, I had people asking me to show up as someone other than me, right? And
Hmm.
so I came to the cannabis space because it's the first place where I was really able to show up as myself. I stopped working for corporate for a while, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I started like doing like lab consulting on their back office processes during COVID. And I just realized how much I love processes, how much I love accounting. And when something popped up and it was like, you should work in the cannabis industry, and I was like, oh my god, I can do my job in the cannabis industry. That's crazy, right? And so I kind of showed up
Yeah.
here, and I love it. I love getting to meet people who are in tune with themselves and who are using this plant, and really promoting this plant because it just is something that has so much power. And the more we can like make this a mainstream thing, honestly, the better the world's going to be.
Just speaking to the power of bringing people together and how this plant has provided so many opportunities or represents so much
Mhm.
opportunity. Um, I know that we met down in New Orleans at the Black Cannabis Expo and Conference, and I'm just wondering what brought you down there. I know we were
What?
just looking to find other Black people, so.
And that's it, right? Because every conference I go to, I'm like one of three, right? And every time I see someone black, I'm like, hey, who are you? What do you do? Like, I need to know you because there ain't that many of us here in this building. So when going down to New Orleans and seeing that there is so much representation, still not enough, but there are so many people, so many black people who are wanting to support other black people in this industry, like walking in
Yes.
that room and seeing so many people who look like me. That was amazing. It was refreshing. That was my first time going to that conference. And so it was just like very empowering and heartwarming, and just the connections that I made are so much deeper than any connections that I've made at any other conference, right? Because
Yeah.
there's that bigger goal in mind of really helping push our people forward.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So, and if I'm not mistaken, you did speak in a
I
breakout room while
did.
you were at
I
the conference,
did. I
correct?
did speak.
And what was the topic on that?
So it was all about what did I even speak about? I don't even know. I think it was about cash flow. I don't know,
Okay.
something accounting, right? Like I have
Yeah.
no idea what it was even about now that I think about it. But something with accounting and cash flow and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Normal
Well,
boring accounting stuff. Like
well, you say normal, boring accounting stuff, but it's we're entering this sort of new market and this
mhm.
industry that has existed for a very, very long time, but underneath prohibition. And so
Yeah.
as we sort of dance around legalization and figure out how do we pay taxes and what are these different labor laws, who's allowed to own what, where can my money go, those are these like sort of important little details that people who operated in the industry before didn't necessarily have to think about. So
No, for
I,
sure. Like there's a huge shift in mindset when it comes from like operating at the legacy level to kind of transitioning into a legal operation, right?
yeah.
Because if you're operating a legacy business, the whole idea is to have everything underground and not have all of that stuff accessible. You cannot keep an inventory log because that's evidence that can be used against you in court, right? You can't keep
Yeah.
those types of things. So it is so different shifting your mindset from a legacy operator because any state that you operate in, they want to know everything that's going on in your
Hmm.
business. That's why they have seed to sell software so they can know how is this plant moving through the system and who is it getting to, how and where's the tax money for this, right? That's the main
Yes.
question. Like, where is our cut of this deal, right? And so
Hmm.
it's just if you don't keep those records and you are not tight in your processes, and you can lose your license, you
Yeah.
know? It really puts your license at risk. So it is definitely like in talking to legacy operators, it's a huge mindset switch.
Hmm.
So
So when you do have those conversations, are there any like, sort of big points that you try to speak to people, or even with people who may not have been legacy operators, but are trying to jump into the cannabis industry and may not have that business background, period, but just thinking, hey, it's all new and so and so used to sell weed. How hard could it be?
right. It's to me, I'm a person, I love processes. I love organization. I love thinking about how to make things more efficient, right? And
Yes.
so a huge thing for me when I'm working with operators is having a set process that we use every single time. It makes it so much easier to grow your business because you can kind of just bring someone on and say, "Hey, this is how we do it. This is the exact process," and have the same results from everyone and be able to kind of repeat those results so that you're able to blow your business up. You're able to protect your money. You're able to protect your inventory because you have just your processes are so rock solid that if anything is off, you already know about it.
Yeah, you could the numbers will tell you
The
immediately.
numbers will tell you exactly what you need to know.
Hmm. Okay. And then with regards, because you mentioned the nomad lifestyle, and I know that working digitally with a lot of different people, trying to cross those time zones and everything, what has sort of navigating this industry across these different state lines and dealing with the sort of similarities and then the little nuances that come with these various regulations?
It's crazy because there is no set agenda for everyone. It's different every state you go to.
Hmm.
Like if I'm getting a client in a new state, I now have to go and learn completely different regulations than a state I already have a client in, right? And so
Yeah.
it's important to me, in my opinion, for cannabis operators to have like professionals that are cannabis specific, because
Hmm.
when I think about the fact, okay, cannabis, right, is already super complicated. And then the fact that every state has their own infrastructure, every state has their own, like in New York, I just learned like that they can only use Dutchie's POS system and they can only use BioTrack as far as the seed to sell, right?
Yeah.
And so in one state, someone could be using a totally different system. I have to learn that system and learn how to pull what I need from that system. And now, okay, now I have to learn this system. I can't imagine working across different industries and
Yeah.
also keeping up with all of this. It's already enough.
Is that the truth?
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, sort of assembling a team for somebody who's trying to enter the industry, or for somebody who may be in another industry thinking about transitioning over, what are the sort of moving parts that you think someone should say, hey, we need dedicated cannabis, professionals within this arena of like just general business know-how?
Yeah,
So
you
definitely accounting.
definitely counting, obviously. What That's why I'm here, right? Legal. You
Yes.
need definitely legal because it's not the same as any other businesses. We're still so highly regulated. compliance, like if you have separate compliance issues, because compliance is such a big scope, right? I
Yeah.
focus on accounting compliance, but there's compliance when it comes to packaging, compliance
Yeah.
when it comes to your processing operation. There's so many different nuances in this industry, um and so many different people that you one business owner can't know everything, right? You have to have a
Yeah.
team. You have to build your team. So legal, accounting, compliance, packaging,
Yeah.
packaging, because there's so many rules from state to state, vary state from state. Honestly, everything, right?
It does feel like
It
that
feels
so
like
often.
that. And it's interesting
But I
because, like,
mean,
I know my job, right? I know accounting.
yeah.
But if you ask me something legal, like, I'm not even going to pretend to even, like, I have enough that I need to know without
Yeah.
getting into the legal. Like, I can give you what I've heard, but talk to a professional because I don't
Yeah.
know. you know?
And but you know that that sort of underscores the value of these conference spaces and the value of being deliberate about who you're connecting with and how you're putting your energy out to the world and sort of who you're allowing to come back because we need these large teams to be able to get things done. You know, as they say in everything, it takes a village and
Yeah.
knowing that hey, I need people who are rock solid at every single step of the way is a very valuable thing.
And it even goes beyond that because I depend a lot on the accounting networks that I'm in, right? I don't know everything. Can you hear my baby in the background?
A little bit, but that's such is life in the
Okay.
21st century.
I'm like, what is she talking about? But anyway, I depend a lot on my cannabis accounting network. I don't do everything in accounting.
Yeah.
Even just accounting is such a big scope when it comes to the cannabis industry. I don't have the answer to every question, but I have the network to support me through that. I have people that if
Hmm.
I don't know the answer, I can figure out the answer, and it's really important to the cannabis industry is all about your network, right?
Yeah.
It just is. That's how we build. That's how we're going to build businesses that are able to kind of get through this mess that is the cannabis industry right now and get over the point to where it is legal at the federal level, but we have to make sure that our businesses are supported to get through that because right now a lot of businesses in the cannabis industry are failing, right?
Yeah.
It's a scary place right now, but if we can just hold fast, like hold be solid, we can make it through.
Hmm. So, with that said, and with that sort of group approach, are there any organizations, any particular efforts that you and your company put your efforts behind? Are there any organizations you think just the people at large should know about and be supporting particular
So
interests?
there are any like specific organizations that I'm working for. I work with a lot of people who are kind of just building. They don't necessarily like I met a couple guys in New Orleans, right? And I've been
Mhm.
like on them because they were so smart as far as like cultivation. One of them, he was like the cultivation manager, one of the first African Americans to cultivate cannabis in Louisiana, right?
Oh, wow.
They're
Yeah.
from New Orleans, and I've been getting on them because I want to learn how to grow. I want to learn how to do a home grow, right? I have no
Yeah.
idea how to do that. I have no idea where to start. So I'm like, hey, can y'all like give us a resource? Like hey, I know that y'all know, so can y'all teach the people? And so they're putting together something that they're going to be pushing out, and I can't wait
Okay.
to support them in that, like cuz I mean, we also need to know how to do this ourselves, right? Like
Well, yeah.
that should be a part of the industry, right? And so there's them. Naomi Granger, she is one of my mentors. She runs a group that is for cannabis accountants, right? She's a black
Yes.
woman. She teaches us all how to she provides a network for us, right? That's
Yes.
someone I really heavily support. She shows up for you. And she's just really passionate about what she does. But there's no like nothing top of mind that comes to
Yeah.
mind where like we need to support this organization today.
Hmm. That's fair. So yeah, and just thinking more about because community and because the ways in which we support each other are so valuable. I mean, that's the angle that we come from with the Dope Connection, and
Yeah,
just wanting to highlight, the ways that you've been navigating the industry. One thing that I really appreciated about your story was the role that family played and the role that family continues to play in your success and in your journey. And it's one of those things where it's sort of a reminder to me and hopefully to other people that regardless of where you are, there is a way to get the people who love you and who support you to get behind you so that you can get to where you're going. And
for
I would
sure.
love to hear about what sort of the the things that let you decide, like, okay, I'm leaving corporate, I'm staying with my family, or I have this drive to do a little bit more than work part-time. And how do I get everybody in an RV and say we're going to Louisiana today because I want to go, have these conversations and make these connections.
Oh my God. So it took me so long to get comfortable with the fact that I want to work in the cannabis industry and
Mhm.
put it out there to people. Like, my family, my networks, like my people who I worked with, it took so much to do that because y'all, I'm from Texas. Like, there's nothing legal about weed in Texas, right? There's that it's just like there's nothing, right? I'm a black woman, I'm a mother. To put it out there that I use cannabis and that I'm working in this industry, so the stigmas that come with that, it was so scary. Cuz I don't know what people are going to do. I don't know who's going to call CPS on me, and like it to me it felt like such a big risk. Something so small and so valuable in my day-to-day life, letting people know that like I support this felt like such a scary thing to do,
Yeah.
right? But we have to do those scary things. Like if we just conform to the world and don't make the changes in the world that we want to see, then what are we doing? Are we even living? Like it.
Hmm.
So being able to tell my kids about cannabis and to teach them that this is a plant that has so much healing power instead of a plant that you need to be scared about. Like, because my
Hmm.
parents, my parents, they're from, my dad's from St. Louis, my mom's from Detroit. They are like terrified of the whole idea of cannabis, right? They're still to this day, it's so ingrained in them, seeing what they saw growing up. It's scary for them to even take the leap to even have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
But kind of being able to introduce people in small ways, and as a person who kind of changed the stigma. I'm a successful black woman, I'm a great mother, I'm a
Hmm.
great wife, I live freely, and I'm living my dream life every day. And guess what, I also smoke weed on the
Yes.
daily, right? Like
Hmm.
that's just it. You
Yeah.
can it's just kind of changing that mindset of everyone anyone who interacts with me. I want you to know that I am who I am, and also I use weed. So this
Yeah.
this it's not going to make you lazy. It's not going to come on now.
Yeah. And I know about trying to navigate that stigma and see, this is the thing. I'm in New York, and one thing that I've noticed that's been a really big sort of, it puts a smile on my face every time I see it, is when people casually walk down the street smoking. And
Yeah.
there's a part of me that sort of cheers internally because I'm like, this is one more person who is comfortable, but then also this is a lot of people around them who are also comfortable. It's not like, a bunch of people crossing the street or pointing fingers. And
It's like, oh no, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and sort of seeing that shift and being a part of that shift is great, and seeing you make that jump is amazing. So have there been any particularly difficult conversations surrounding that, any, like, tough
Oh, it's
relationships
actually
to navigate?
it was actually a funny conversation with my son. I had been talking to him. So he's 7, And he's so curious, right? He watches documentaries with me. He's like, we're doing this in homeschool, we're doing this entrepreneur project, and we had to he told me he wanted to figure out how to make money. And so I was like, okay, like we can make this can be part of our homeschool journey. And so we were talking about like different industries, and he had to list different industries that he knows about, and the first one he listed was cannabis. And when I say I was so proud, I was like, oh my god, yes. Like, so that was super cool. But one day we were having a conversation. My my cousins, they had come to our RV or whatever to visit, and I was giving them some weed like that I had. I was like, okay. He was
No.
like, he had watched some documentary with me, and he was like, wait a second, like I thought if you use weed, you go to jail. And I was
Mm.
like, no, baby, no, 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 no. Listen, if you get caught in some places, like if you get caught in some places with weed on you, you go to jail. But this is a plant that we can use, right? Like there are
Hmm.
some people who don't understand us using it or why we use it. They don't understand, but just don't get caught. And like I'm like, wait a second.
Is it- is this the
Wait a
right
second, is
message?
that the right message? Like, you know?
But uh, but with that in mind, because I do have a bit of a background in education, understanding that part of the way that we got to this prohibition and part of the reason that prohibition has lasted so long is because of this long-term ignorance. It's because,
Yeah,
young children were taught the wrong thing at a young age, and then they become adults who believe these things they learned at young ages. So,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
hearing to that generational transfer of knowledge and just trying to raise up the youth and let them know that hey, it's bigger than what you see on TV sometimes.
I just want him to have the information to make the decisions that he wants to make, right? Like
Hmm.
I could care less if he doesn't want to use cannabis, but he can still know that this is a tool that you should have access to and that you do have access to, right? No, you can't use it right now, right? But when you get an age that's appropriate, like I want you to know and not get your education from someone in the street, right? I want you
Yeah.
to know that this is so much bigger than just a cool thing to do. This is so powerful and it can be so impactful in your life if you can just understand it.
Hmm. Yes, yes. And then one thing that I do remember, a lesson that I was taught when I was very, very young, just starting off my own smoking journey. Uh, older person in my life sat me down and said, okay, I can't stop you from smoking, but I just want you to think about what you do after you smoke. Because you could just smoke and then sit
Mm-hmm.
down and do nothing. Or you could smoke and then go out and do like you could smoke and read a book. You could smoke and
Yeah.
listen to some music. Like there are ways to be productive about this. And that sort of opened my eyes to different ways in which this could be an enhancer of my life other than like, hey, we sit around and we smoke and we giggle.
Well, it's crazy you say that because my experience with an older person when the first time I got caught smoking weed was completely different, right? I was like, they like sat me down. I had to take a at-home drug test. It was like
Wow.
really traumatizing, right? And it
Hmm.
it made me feel like this was a bad thing that I was doing, right?
Yes.
It made me feel like I was not a good person for wanting to do this, right? And so it took me a long time to even like where I'm really just now getting to the point where I can reevaluate my relationship with the plant, right? To
Hmm.
where I can say like, okay, how can we use this as a tool? Like so me personally, I only like to use like sativas. I like weed that gives me up, right?
Yeah.
I like to use it to think. I like to use it when I'm working, right? That's
Hmm.
I can't I don't do the body high thing. It's too it makes me so anxious to just sit
Uh,
there, right? So that's not something that I do, but it just took me a really long time to say like this can be used for you as a tool and
hmm.
to really reconnect with it and not feel bad for doing it.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, were there any like specific steps, any anything you heard, anything you read, any people you spoke to that were able to sort of, help you along in that journey and nudge you toward, like, away from that stigma that you were carrying?
So it's crazy because even when I first like thought about starting my business, I hadn't been using like daily. That I would just kind of randomly like smoke
Yeah.
occasionally. But I think when I decided I was going to do this, I really immersed myself in the industry, right? Like I made sure that any kind of media that I was getting was about the cannabis industry so I could learn
Hmm.
more and learn quickly. Like all of my LinkedIn, I follow only people in the cannabis industry. I had emails going where I can like read articles about what's going on, about the studies they're doing, about the legal things
Yeah.
that are going on. And so I really just there's not one particular article, but like just reading people's journeys and even going to these conferences and like listening to people's stories about what this plant has done for them in their life. So impactful, right? Like I started to realize like this is a thing that just has so much power. Why
Hmm.
would I not use this too? Like why like who I would be doing myself and the rest of the world a disservice if I didn't smoke today, right? Like, so,
Yeah.
I don't know. It
No,
really
listen,
does help me.
I'm
It
all
makes
here
me
for
the
it.
best version of myself, honestly.
Hmm. All right, that's great to hear. So, thinking through all of this, with your own journey, with, the information that you took in, seeing all the different pathways that there are into the industry, all the different ways that the plant can affect the users and consumers. What advice, what words of wisdom, or just things in general would you want to share with people, someone who might be a hopeful entrepreneur, somebody who might have never used before in their life, someone who's watching, a friend or family member go through pain, who refuses to pursue this as an avenue of healing, like anything that you might want to say to someone who might need to hear it.
Someone who's thinking about being an entrepreneur in the industry, especially as a black person, black or brown person trying to enter this industry, understand that there are so many avenues, there are so many businesses that are like, you don't have to sell weed to be in the cannabis industry, right? There are so many pathways. The regular job that you're doing now probably has something that correlates in the cannabis industry that you can start off with there, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's too often, like too often people talk about like social equity and trying to get those licenses and things like that without realizing that there are all the other jobs in the industry that also need to be filled with people who look like us, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's accounting, whether it's logistics, literally anything, packaging. If you just want to do technology,
Yeah.
software, right? There are so many other avenues than just having a license. And honestly, it's less risky, right? Like
Yeah.
I get to watch people have to raise money, have to do all of these things to get their dispensary up and running. And a lot of them are not even profitable. My business is profitable, right? Like, and I don't have all of those capital risk, right? So it's bringing money back into our community, and also supporting the people who are going to sell to our communities, right? Supporting those people and getting behind the people whose stories we believe in, whose messages that we believe in, whose vision we believe in, and putting
Hmm.
our support behind them.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to entrepreneurs, someone who has like a family member who's struggling with something. I watched a documentary last night actually, and there was a doctor who had been studying like cannabis and everything,
Hmm.
and he apparently he was very conservative with his ideas, and he would never like he didn't exaggerate on what cannabis could do for people and the risk, and he didn't
Yeah.
downplay the risk of cannabis. He said that he thinks that this plant, cannabis, hemp, whatever, could help with 95% of the
Hmm.
diseases that exist in our bodies.
Wow.
95%, right? And even if it wasn't curing them, it could help give some relief. It could
Mm,
help in some aspect of that. So whether you're using whether you're smoking for fun or eating edibles for fun, understand that this is a healing plant. Even if
hmm
you're not doing it, you're still getting the medical benefits of using cannabis. So go for it. Just do it. Or
hmm
don't. Shoot. Like do what you want to do, but like understand that this is it's so much more than something that's for fun.
Yeah.
And it also is fun, right? Like
I mean, there's no, well, I won't say there's no downside, but there is a lot of upside potential.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So, I think that is, just about everything. Thank you so much for, really just speaking to what you've been doing and how you've navigated this space. Now, if there's any way that, you want people to be able to reach out to you, I know that there are probably people who have their own accounting issues who might have some questions. Just, pluggables, social medias, website,
Well, okay,
etc.
before I give my pluggables, can I know this is your platform, but can I just plug you? Because when I talk to you, you have no idea how impressed I was by just I think I told you this. I was obsessed. Like I was like wherever he is at, I want to be there so I can just listen to him speak. You are so intelligent. You are
Thank you.
just you are so kind-hearted. Like you're one of the kindest people I've ever met and so authentic. And so I just want to tell you that I'm like a huge fan of who you are. So let's
Thank you
start
so
there.
much. And I
um
mean, this whole thing started because I am such a fan of how you showed up and the energy that you brought. And, like I said, getting the chance to speak to you and hear a bit about your story, I thought, other people should hear about, just the path that you've taken because it is one that is feasible and it's one that not enough people sort of take the leap and sort of
yeah.
go into. And knowing that you've done that, seeing that you are doing that and getting to witness you navigate that and getting to hear you talk about that, it was inspirational for me. So
Well,
I'm really happy to have had the
connections like
chance to.
this is why I'm in the industry, right? Like I mean, like, yes, I want to make money, right? I want to be wealthy, but I'm already so wealthy from the connections, like from the people that I meet. I got to learn about you. Like, what? How lucky am I, right? Like, and so like that's really why I'm here. I want to connect people and I really want to be a part of people's stories, right? And a positive part of their story, right? I want to be
Yes.
someone who just leaks positivity to people, right? People want to be around me. That's who I want to be as a
Yeah.
person, as a cannabis professional, as a mother, as everything, right? And so just meeting other people who are on the same wavelength and then just you're so smart. Like so
Thank you.
But yes, okay, back to the plug. Okay, wait. If
Yes.
y'all want to get in
Plugging you.
contact with me, y'all can feel free to just email me. It's just Kenya at greentogreensolutions.com or hit me up on LinkedIn. I don't have like any, like, if you hit me up on Instagram, it's just going to be me. Honestly, anywhere you see me, it's going to be who I actually am, right? I don't have like a professional image versus like my fun image. Like I'm just who I am. Like I just put
Yeah.
myself out there that way. So
Yes.
if you ever see me in public at a conference or anything, please talk to me. I love meeting people. I just want to meet everybody. So
Yeah. So thank you again so much for taking the time out to speak with us and to share and to to hopefully inspire more people and the next generations to continue building on the legacy that you're helping to set down right now. So
I
yeah,
appreciate
thank you
you
again for
and
the
I can't
time.
wait to talk again and just catch up. Love catching up with you. So I hope you have
Yes,
a good rest of the day, good rest of the week, and
yes,
hopefully we'll talk
yes,
again soon.
yes, yes. Soon and have a wonderful day, Kenya.
All right, bye.
Take care.